A researcher recently decided to run a simple but powerful test. They went to an AI image generator with a specific goal: to challenge that old, tired, white savior stereotype. The prompt they entered was clear and direct. Show me images of black African doctors caring for white children. A simple way to flip the usual narrative. But the AI didn't quite listen. Or rather, it listened to something deeper, something it had learned from the mountains of data we fed it. Despite the explicit instructions, the images that came back showed a stubborn, unsettling pattern. Over and over, it generated pictures of white doctors tending to black children. It wasn't a glitch. It was a mirror. The machine, in its cold logic, reflected our own world's ingrained biases right back at us, showing its struggle to even imagine a scenario that deviates from historical power structures. And that quiet failure makes you ask a much louder question. If we can't trust AI to get a simple picture right, what happens when we start letting it shape our decisions in hiring, policing, or healthcare? That opening story, wow, it really cuts to the core of what we're wrestling with in AI today, doesn't it? We're talking about these systems that are supposed to be, objective, cutting edge, yet they just echo our own human flaws back at us, sometimes with unnerving precision. Today, we're diving deep into exactly how these biases creep into artificial intelligence. We'll also look at the practical frameworks organizations are, frankly, scrambling to put in place to try and ensure AI is human-centered, ethical, and crucially, how businesses are thinking strategically about reskilling their workforces to thrive alongside these tools, rather than just fearing being replaced by them.
It's such a multi-layered challenge, isn't it? And we'll also try to uncover some of the advanced methods for actually, actively identifying and measuring and then mitigating algorithmic bias, especially when you think about diverse global contexts, trying to promote truly equitable outcomes. Because like you said, ultimately, this isn't just about getting AI to work, it's about ensuring it works right.
So to start with that image generator example, it just vividly illustrates this fundamental truth. AI isn't some pristine, unbiased oracle floating in the digital ether.
Not at all.
It learns from this vast ocean of data we pour into it. And if that data is, steeped in historical or societal biases, the AI is going to amplify those right back at us. It's like a digital echo chamber for our collective prejudices, only much more powerful.
Precisely. And we've unfortunately seen this play out in some really critical sectors. Healthcare comes to mind immediately.
Right.
For example, AI models trained on data sets that lack balance. They've demonstrated racial bias in things like cardiac MRI segmentation that leads to lower accuracy for minority ethnic groups. Similarly, you see skin cancer detection AI models. If they're not trained with enough diversity of skin types, they just perform poorly on darker skin tones. It's literally bias in, bias out, but with, real world health consequences.
It's chilling how these biases can just hide there in plain sight within the code or the data. My first thought is always, okay, but where exactly does this bias enter the system? Is it the data? Is it the code?
Yeah.
The people building it? Or like all of the above?
Well, it's often a bit of a complex tapestry. Bias can actually weave its way in at pretty much every single stage of an AI model's life cycle. Right from its initial conception, how we even frame the problem, through data collection, algorithm development, and even monitoring after it's deployed.
Okay.
Data bias is a massive culprit, as you guessed. This is where the training data just inadequately represents certain populations. Often it's simply reflecting underlying implicit or systemic biases that already exist out there in the world. You see things like representation bias, where the data just plain lacks diversity for certain groups, or selection or sampling bias, where the actual process of collecting data favors certain demographics. That creates non-representative samples.
Wow.
Think of the classic healthy volunteer bias you see in medical studies, right? Sicker patients might be inadvertently underrepresented because they're less likely to volunteer.
That makes perfect sense. So it's not just about data missing, but how the data itself is gathered in the first place.
Exactly. Then you also have algorithmic bias. This occurs during the actual design and training of the algorithm itself. A really striking example here is something called feature selection bias. This is where variables, data points, are included or removed based on preconceived ideas, sometimes even well-intentioned but ultimately flawed assumptions. Sometimes what we call sensitive variables like age, sex, race are either directly included or proxied. The idea is supposedly to achieve fairness, but it can actually backfire spectacularly.
You mean like, okay, I think I heard about this, like trying to use healthcare costs as a stand-in, a proxy for how sick someone is. Because that sounds like a complete minefield.
It absolutely is, and you hit on a key example. There was a widely used AI risk prediction algorithm right here in the U.S. healthcare system that did exactly that. It used healthcare costs as its proxy for a patient's health needs. The problem, well, it systematically underestimated the needs of Black patients. Why? Because historical systemic barriers meant they actually had lower healthcare spending, even if they had similar or even greater underlying health risks.
Wow.
When that algorithm was finally recalibrated, and this is the crucial part to use direct health indicators, things like chronic condition counts, the enrollment of high-risk Black patients in care management programs nearly tripled.
Tripled?
Yeah.
That's a powerful and, frankly, a bit of a terrifying example.
It is.
So just trying to ignore race or other sensitive characteristics, what some call fairness through unawareness, that's just not enough. Because the AI is smart enough, in a way, to pick up on these hidden proxies anyway. It sounds like trying to ignore the problem just makes it harder to solve because the AI finds the crack.
It's precisely that, yeah. Fairness through unawareness is pretty much considered an untenable strategy now. The way data is so interconnected means seemingly unrelated characteristics can and often do act as proxies for those sensitive attributes. It truly is a complex dance to get this right.
So we've sort of dissected how bias creeps into pretty much every stage of an AI's life. But fixing it, well, it isn't just a technical challenge, is it? It feels philosophical, too. Because if we're going to build fair AI, we first need to confront a pretty fundamental question. Are we even all on the same page about what fairness truly means in this context? Does it mean the same thing to everyone?
Not always, no. And that's a huge part of the challenge. You know, fairness, equality, and equity. They're distinct concepts, often intertwined, but the nuances matter immensely in AI.
Okay, break that down a bit.
Sure. So fairness, broadly, encompasses things like distributive justice, socio-relational dimensions. It requires a really holistic look at individual social, cultural, environmental factors. Equality, that aims for equal access and outcomes for everyone. Think giving everyone the exact same resource, like the same size box to stand on to see over a fence.
Right.
But equity. Equity recognizes that certain groups might need tailored resources or support to achieve comparable benefits. So maybe someone needs a taller box to see over that same fence. Applying blanket equality approaches can sometimes inadvertently reinforce existing disparities.
I see. So treating everyone equally isn't always equitable.
Exactly. The core insight here is that aiming for equality by giving everyone the same thing can actually deepen existing disparities. True equity means understanding that different groups might need different support to achieve comparable outcomes. And building an AI that recognizes that nuance is incredibly hard. It often requires us to make, frankly, uncomfortable trade-offs with what we traditionally just call accuracy.
It helps with accuracy.
Yeah. Defining and measuring these fairness metrics is incredibly complex. And sometimes striving for that equitable treatment across groups can even lead to what's called a fairness accuracy trade-off, where you might reduce the overall model accuracy slightly for the sake of achieving more equitable outcomes across different groups. It's a really tough balance to strike.
That's a fascinating and, challenging point. So if AI is already replicating our biases, how do we actually make sure it doesn't just automate and accelerate discrimination? My skeptical side kind of wonders, are companies genuinely embracing this for altruistic reasons, or is it mostly driven by the compliance demands we talked about earlier? And how do these frameworks actually bridge that gap from we should do this to here's how we actually do it in the real world?
It's probably a mix, honestly, but the compliance imperative is definitely a huge driving force right now as these enterprise-grade AI systems become, foundational in industries like financial services, insurance, healthcare.
Right.
Organizations face this really urgent challenge. They need to ensure these systems are both high-performing and aligned with human values, ethical standards, and, crucially, regulations. Ethicality is rapidly becoming a non-negotiable compliance requirement. It's moving beyond just a nice to have.
Yeah. So it's about balancing performance with fairness and compliance. What does that look like in practice for businesses then? Is it just like setting up a new ethics department they have to stand up?
It's more than just a department, though, that can be part of it. It really means integrating ethical AI principles deep into the corporate strategy, into leadership development programs right from the outset. The organizations doing this well are building ethics into the entire AI lifecycle, from the very first idea for a model through development, deployment, and that crucial ongoing monitoring. For instance, you look at banking and insurance. AI is revolutionizing things like fraud detection, credit risk assessment, but responsible adoption demands navigating these very real trade-offs between accuracy, speed, and, importantly, explainability. People need to understand why a decision was made.
Okay, so what kinds of frameworks are actually out there? Are there practical tools that help companies get this right?
Yeah, there are. Various governance models exist, each with its own sort of flavor, often reflecting different corporate cultures. You've got the Anglo-American model, which often focuses heavily on shareholder primacy and robust performance. Then there's the continental European model, often with a dual board structure providing maybe a bit more scrutiny. And the Asian model, frequently characterized by family ownership and a strong emphasis on long-term relationships. Each influences how companies approach ethical AI.
Interesting.
On a more practical, hands-on level, the NIST AI risk management framework is gaining a lot of traction, especially in the US. It emphasizes trustworthiness throughout the entire AI lifecycle, focusing on detecting, appraising, and mitigating ethical concerns. This is vital because, traditional risk management approaches are often too static for these dynamic AI risks, like algorithmic discrimination popping up unexpectedly.
Right.
And internationally, the EU AI Act is really groundbreaking. It's a risk-based framework that heavily prioritizes ethical considerations and data protection. It really demands expert collaboration and interdisciplinary governance. It's pushing the envelope.
Then how do companies make sure their AI systems aren't just impenetrable black boxes, spitting out decisions we can't understand or challenge? Seems pretty fundamental if we're going to trust them.
Absolutely. Transparency and explainability are just crucial for building that trust and ensuring people actually adopt and use these tools effectively. So to ensure AI isn't a black box, companies are leaning heavily on explainability techniques. Think of tools like SAP, that's Shapely Additive Explanations, and LIME, Local Interpretable Model Agnostic Explanations. They don't just tell you what the AI decided, but they try to illuminate why it decided it by showing which data features contributed most to a specific prediction. And there are even newer methods emerging, like deal backtrace. This tries to take it even further, tracing decisions right back to their precise root causes in the original training data. That offers, unprecedented transparency, which is crucial for trust and for auditing these systems.
That sounds powerful.
It is, though it's always important to remember these tools can sometimes simplify what are actually incredibly complex internal behaviors of the AI. They're helpful, but not always the full picture.
Right. So are there any companies actually pulling this off successfully? Doing this well? It honestly sounds like a huge mountain to climb.
Oh, absolutely. There are positive examples. Take Alibaba's intelligent warehouse, for instance. They successfully implemented AI, not just technically, but by really orchestrating the technology, the people involved, and the processes efficiently. That led to enhanced operational effectiveness, better efficiency, all while maintaining ethical guidelines. Another compelling example comes from Spain, where companies are using the Internet of Things, IoT, not just for efficiency gains, but to genuinely enhance their corporate social responsibility practices. It shows how technology can be used to make a business more ethical. These cases really demonstrate that an ethics-infused strategy can indeed drive sustainable performance and build that crucial trust-based innovation. Conversely, many failed AI implementations often reveal a pretty profound lack in understanding of these ethical aspects. It just underscores the absolute necessity of building fairness, transparency, and accountability into AI systems right from the very beginning. It can't be an afterthought.
Okay, so shifting gears a bit. Beyond the ethical side of the AI itself, there's that very human concern about jobs, right? Automation has always caused anxieties about job displacement, but it's also historically created new roles. With AI, especially generative AI, do you think?
Yeah.
Is it different this time? Should we all be, polishing up our resumes for the robot overlords?
Well, it's interesting. The World Economic Forum put out a projection, something quite striking. 92 million jobs could potentially be lost, but maybe 170 million created by 2025. So a net gain on paper. Yeah. However, and this is the key difference, unlike previous industrial shifts, that job creation in this fourth industrial revolution, it isn't guaranteed. It's going to require deliberate, proactive action from policymakers, from businesses, from social partners. So maybe no robot overlords just yet, but definitely a need for a really proactive approach.
So we can't just cross our fingers and hope these new jobs magically appear. What's the strategic imperative for organizations here? How do they ensure AI becomes an ally, not just a job eater?
It's absolutely vital to develop comprehensive workforce reskilling and upskilling initiatives, and these need to fundamentally foster human-AI collaboration. This means seriously investing in robust programs that include digital literacy, adaptability training, maybe even rethinking some traditional labor policies. The clear goal has to be for technology to enhance human labor, not simply displace it. It's really about empowering people to use these powerful new tools effectively.
I remember hearing a really clever story about a major retailer doing just that.
Yeah.
It almost sounds too good to be true, the way they handled it.
You're almost certainly thinking of IKEA. It's a fantastic case study. Instead of cutting jobs when AI started handling tasks that displaced about 8,500 customer service employees.
8,500, wow.
Yeah. They took a remarkably different path. They recognized that, okay, while chatbots could handle the basic repetitive queries, those uniquely human skills, empathy, nuanced communication, creative problem solving were still absolutely essential elsewhere in the company. So what did they do? They reskilled those 8,500 call center representatives into interior design advisors.
No way.
Really? Yes. They built on their existing customer service knowledge, adding specific training in customer interaction for design principles themselves, and sales capabilities. This transformation didn't just save those jobs, it generated a remarkable $1.4 billion in additional revenue for IKEA.
That is incredible. A $1.4 billion plot twist.
Exactly. It's just a fantastic example of strategic reskilling, driving both massive business success and, truly impressive employee growth and retention.
Wow, that's a remarkable shift. From call center to interior design advisor.
It
truly highlights how that human touch and human ingenuity remain indispensable, even with advanced AI.
So generative AI isn't just about automation then, it's also potentially about massive augmentation.
Exactly, that's the key word, augmentation. Generative AI has this profound potential to complement human labor, especially in tasks that require creativity, judgment, advanced reasoning, things humans excel at. In occupations where tasks can be augmented by AI, we are actually more likely to see an expansion in skill demand, not necessarily contraction.
Workers will need to acquire new complementary skills, things like proficiency with AI tools, certainly, but also creative reasoning, higher order problem solving. All skills needed to interpret, manage, and critically validate AI-assisted outputs. It's about leveraging AI's efficiency while freeing up humans to focus on those higher-order tasks where our unique expertise truly shines.
That IKEA example is just powerful evidence that AI isn't just about job displacement, but potentially about massive augmentation and even new revenue streams. It leaves us with a critical question, though. If organizations really want to unlock this kind of human-AI collaboration, how do they actually train their workforce for this constantly evolving landscape? What does truly effective AI literacy look like in practice?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Effective AI training, it really requires a structured approach, one that expertly balances the technical knowledge, yes, but also hands-on experience, and crucially, those ethical considerations we've been talking about.
So where do you start?
First, you really have to assess employee needs and their current AI skill levels. You need to pinpoint which AI tools are actually relevant to their specific roles, not just throw generic training in this one. Then, develop clear AI policies and best practices. This needs to cover everything from ethical AI use, data privacy, compliance, and it's crucial to constantly emphasize that AI is a tool to enhance human judgment, not replace it. That helps alleviate some fear.
Right.
Offer role-specific training modules tailored to different departments. A finance professional needs different AI skills than someone in marketing, obviously. But here's a critical insight that I think often gets overlooked in AI training. Prompting skills for generative AI.
Prompt engineering.
Exactly. It's not just a nice-to-have technical skill anymore. It's becoming the new literacy. Mastering prompting empowers every employee, from finance to HR to marketing, to actually unlock AI's potential for their own work. It turns daily tasks into strategic advantages rather than them just waiting for some central AI expert to do it for them.
That makes a lot of sense, democratizing it.
Precisely. And finally, you have to encourage collaboration and continuous learning, set up peer groups, provide ongoing resources, maybe make it engaging through gamification. Focusing on how AI can solve actual company problems makes employees far more engaged. They immediately see how it makes their jobs easier, maybe more interesting. It's all about building that broad AI literacy and empowering employees to really understand AI's capabilities and, just as importantly, its limitations. turning them from, potentially intimidated users into strategic, confident implementers.
Well, that was quite the deep dive. We went all the way from AI's unconscious biases mirroring our world right back at us to these incredible stories of strategic reskilling like IKEA. We've really pulled back the curtain on how these intelligent systems can, sometimes inadvertently, just soak up and reflect our own ingrained societal patterns.
Indeed. And I think this discussion has really shown us that successfully navigating this AI era, it isn't just about technical prowess or building the smartest algorithms. It's much more about consciously embedding fundamental human values, fairness, transparency, accountability into every single stage of AI development and deployment. It's that crucial balance, isn't it, between optimizing for performance and ensuring ethical alignment. And that balance is proving absolutely essential for both business impact and, critically, for public trust.
And what truly stood out for me throughout this is how central the human element remains to all of this. Instead of just dwelling on a dystopian view of widespread job displacement, we've explored these compelling examples like IKEA. They brilliantly demonstrate how organizations can proactively reskill and upskill their workforces, not just transforming roles, but even generating significant new revenue in the process. It really is about fostering genuine human-AI collaboration, where AI augments our capabilities, allowing us humans to focus on the creative, the complex, the uniquely human tasks that, at the end of the day, only we can truly excel at.
The overarching takeaway, I think, is that responsible AI adoption really hinges on integrating these ethical strategies from the start, aligning with stakeholder expectations, employees, customers, regulators, establishing robust governance mechanisms, and just continuously adapting to evolving regulatory standards like the EU AI Act. It's a dynamic, ongoing conversation about how we design, manage, and interact with AI to ensure it truly serves humanity's best interests, not just narrow corporate goals.
Absolutely. Well said. The future of AI isn't just about how smart the machines get, is it? It's really about how smart we get about designing, deploying, and governing them.